Whether the organization's mission was to spread the word of Jesus Christ in the United States or reduce the spread of HIV/AIDS in sub-Saharan African countries, the mark of the most successful organizations was that they have engaged and have enlightened boards that understand the role and responsibilities of their organization. So, what are the roles and responsibilities of a successful board? The first and primary responsibility that comes to my mind is governance. Whether one is a trustee of a church or board member of a local symphony organization, each has a fiduciary responsibility to see that the mission of the organization is achieved in the most efficient and effective way. So what is governance? Governance is the legal authority of a board to establish policies that will affect the life and the work of the organization while holding the board responsible for the outcomes of those decisions. The key words in the definition are legal authority, establish policies, and holding the board responsible for the outcome of their decisions. The most dynamic boards are very clear about their roles and understand that in order for their organizations to be successful, they must lead by shaping and clarifying the vision and the mission, providing overall strategic direction, setting policy, ensuring that the financial resources are available, serving on a number of committees as ambassadors for the organization, evaluating the organization's performance, and probably the most, and two of my favorite things, ensuring that the organization is accountable and transparent. The major responsibility most often downplayed, however, is the one that ensures the financial resources are available and guarantees the organization's mission is met. That responsibility is fundraising. In fact, the most successful boards actually create job descriptions that not only list fundraising as a major board responsibility, but in some cases they actually list the suggested minimum giving level in order for an individual to serve. So, what are the board's responsibilities as they relate to fundraising? The first responsibility of the board is to ensure that a viable fundraising plan is in place. The plan's goals and objectives should be strategic, and they should be linked to accomplishing the mission of the organization. Successful fundraising begins actually at the top. Board members, trustees, pastors, principals, CEOs should have a dedicated amount of time specifically devoted to fundraising. Effective fundraising requires the engagement of the entire leadership team. It's not just a one-person responsibility. The board develops the plan to ensure adequate resources are available for the organization's programs and services. The staff actually works with them in the development of that plan, but they are the ones that execute it. Additionally, the most effective boards are strong proponents of accountability, insisting that donors' funds are used for the purpose intended. They insist on being accountable, both for the board's sake as well as for the stakeholders. The successful board member is an ambassador for the organization, one who consistently promotes the organization's mission, programs, and services. Yes, fundraising is an expectation, and it is clearly and plainly, unmistakably listed among the responsibilities and requirements of services on most of the boards that are and organizations that are most successful. In many cases, a board member is expected to give a specific amount. Church trustees and religious organizations tend to be a little bit kinder, I would think, and more sensitive by asking that their trustees give sacrificially. What kind of duties should a board member expect? He or she helps to define the mission, vision, and overall plans for the future. He or she participates in the creation of a case for support, which is the most important marketing document for the church or the organization. The case explains why a donor should give and why they should give to you rather than another organization. He or she personally gives. The successful board always has 100% participation from its members annually. He or she understands that and endorses, approves, and evaluates the planning process. He or she helps to identify and evaluate major donor and other potential givers. He or she assists with the cultivation of other folks who might wish to give. He or she serves on a committee, including the development committee. He or she asks others to give to support the organization. When looking for potential board members or trustee members or trying to build a stronger fundraising organization, the leadership and nominating committee should be prepared to give prospective members a clear understanding of the service expectations. They should be told they will be expected to give personally, to serve on a committee or an advisory board. New trustees should be trained and invited to participate in an orientation program. For new members, the current board members should participate in an annual fundraising workshop scheduled for the existing members so that they can be ready to engage and execute the overall plans for the next year. The board leadership should reach out to individuals who have fundraising skill sets that they otherwise might not have. What are the expectations of individual members? At a minimum, new and current board members should be routinely reminded that each member of the board is expected to embrace the mission. With many Seventh-day Adventist boards, because of multiple ex officio appointments, it may not be possible to attend every board meeting. When possible, a goal should be to stagger the meetings so that members can attend as many of the board meetings as possible. I cannot mention often enough that each trustee should give something. Not everyone may be initially asked the question, but everyone should be asked at least to contribute once a year. The board member should be expected to inquire so that when they don't understand something that as it relates to fundraising, it can be explained clearly. Perhaps one of the greatest benefits of a seasoned and well-performing board is the ability to extend the organization's network among stakeholders who otherwise might not be involved in the organization or the church. Many Adventist churches have effective outreach efforts. A board member can be an invaluable asset in reaching out to his or her community and not just asking them to participate in outreach efforts, but also to give. One recent example was a small church in Ohio that developed an outreach program to reach local businesses in the surrounding community, seeking requests for in-kind contributions and support. The key is to develop a board team that goes out and actually pursues contributions and engagement that heretofore had not been pursued. Lastly, the most successful boards recognize that they work best when they seek consensus and that no one has individual authority to do or to decide. Boards that work best are those that work in the collective, where all personal issues are placed aside and where every effort is made to avoid real or perceived conflicts of interest. In summary, it is important that each of the board members delineate the role to be performed by the board and those that are performed by the staff. Boards or trustees focus on the big picture, mission, vision, and planning. They evaluate outcomes and results. They ensure legal and financial obligations are met. They hire the CEO, the executive director, the principal. Staff, through the organizational leader, in return, run the daily operations. They're responsible for all of the hiring, training, and overseeing of the staff. They maintain financial records, and they pay the bills, and they routinely provide the board with financial and progress reports. I alluded to it earlier, but it requires repeating several times. It takes money to raise money. The board must allot sufficient financial resources to achieve minimal fundraising goals. I often say that fundraising is all about processes, and whether your church is implementing a campaign for capital improvements of the restrooms or a sanctuary, a small budget will be required to develop the materials, the pamphlets containing the case and supporting the argument for the campaign. Reasons why a board are not successful include the following. They lack the right membership combination. Rarely will a board have totally the right membership combination. They must continually mind the field and strive, as it may, to get and gain individuals who add and bring ideas and talent to the board. You work with boards to give their time, talent, and treasure. Another reason why boards often don't succeed, they lack the understanding of the roles and responsibility. Every board can and must continually enunciate the board member's role and responsibilities. Relationship between board members and staff sometimes are miserably misunderstood when the staff roles are not clearly delineated. Ineffective meetings. The board meetings should be participatory and energetic. Every effort should be made to ensure that they are. Occasionally, and sometimes there's constant turnover with boards. Probably with most Adventist groups, it's just the opposite. There's not as much turnover or infusion of new blood, and every effort should be made to engage people who otherwise might not. Occasionally, boards lack information. Frankly, the more information that you provide, the better decisions that can be made. When they don't have all of the information that is needed to make policy decisions, it's reasonable to expect that poor decisions will be made. And of course, there's always poor interpersonal dynamics. They can be destructive. Do remember the saying that we can't all, or can't we all just get along? Different opinions and points of view should always be welcome and embraced, but not made personal. When the board lacks key skills in a particular area, such as fundraising, every effort should be made to gain board participation and new membership and fresh blood so that those particular areas are strengthened. I can remember once when the dean of a top 20 business school said, if you don't have the leaders in your organization that you want, develop them. It's a practice that many successful organizations embrace, and certainly one that I support. Another reason for poor performance of the board is the lack of understanding of the nonprofit sector. It is incumbent upon the church or the nonprofit leadership to learn as much about the nuances of strategic planning and fundraising as possible, then implement the plan. Fundraising succeeds when there is a strong leadership at all levels, when there is supportive infrastructure, and I have attended many small churches with memberships of 250 to 300 and have been members of churches numbering well over the 10,000s. What I've discovered is that committee assignments work for both. It enables people to become interactive and to gain excitement about the various projects that are going on within the church. There is good communication between members and the community. Those are things that really do ensure the success of a fundraising program.